The Woman and the Baboon, a tale from the Valley of Shadows. Long ago, in the heart of a forgotten land where shadows danced beneath baobab trees and rivers sang to the moon, there lived a woman named Nurai. She was not like the other women of her village. While others found joy in gossip, song, and weaving, Nurai often wandered deep into the forest, listening to the wind, the leaves, and the soft murmurs of creatures hiding in the underbrush. The villagers of Mwenga thought her odd. Some whispered she was cursed. Others believed she spoke with spirits. Children were told not to follow her into the forest. But Nurai didn't mind. The forest was her home, her haven, and her only friend, for she had no family. One day, as the morning mist curled around the tree trunks, Nurai followed a sound she had never heard before, a low, throaty cry, almost like laughter, echoing through the trees. It led her to a clearing where the sun filtered through thick branches, forming golden patterns on the earth. There, sitting atop a rock, was a baboon. It was large, with dark fur and eyes that held an almost human sadness. The moment it saw her, it tilted its head curiously. Nurai froze. She had seen baboons before, troublesome, aggressive creatures that raided farms and frightened children. But this one didn't snarl or bare its teeth. Instead, it nodded at her. "Hello," she said softly. To her shock, the baboon grunted and tapped the rock beside him, as if inviting her to sit. So began an unusual friendship. Nurai visited the baboon every morning. She brought fruits, sweet roots, and sometimes gourds of honeyed water. The baboon, whom she named Mudzimu, meaning, Spirit One, accepted her gifts politely, never grabbing, never growling. He would sit with her for hours, watching birds, mimicking the sounds of monkeys, and even pointing out hiding snakes before she stepped on them. Over time, Nurai learned to read Mudzimu's gestures, the flick of his fingers, the curve of his brow. Though no words were ever spoken, they understood each other. One day, Mudzimu handed her a flat stone. Carved into its surface was a symbol, an old one she had only seen in her grandmother's hut, the Eye of the Hidden Realm. It was a sign of protection, but also a warning. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. Mudzimu merely looked toward the deeper forest, the part of the woods no villager dared to enter. That night, Nurai could not sleep. Dreams came to her, visions of a kingdom buried beneath roots and vines, of people with furred faces and tails who once walked like men. She saw fire, betrayal, and a queen who vanished into the trees, her crown shattered. The next morning, Nurai followed Mudzimu deeper into the forest. They passed trees older than time, whose trunks were wider than huts. Vines tried to block their path, but Mudzimu growled and they slithered away. At the center of the forest, hidden beneath the roots of an enormous baobab, they found it, a door of stone, etched with the Eye of the Hidden Realm. Mudzimu placed his hand on the symbol. The ground rumbled. The door opened. Inside was a cavern glowing with green light. Plants grew from the ceiling. Pools of water shimmered like mirrors. And carved into the walls were stories, pictographs of a great baboon kingdom that once ruled the valley. Nurai saw an image of a human woman standing beside a baboon king. Beneath it, a curse was written in symbols. Betrayal by blood shall turn man to beast. Only love without fear shall break the chain. She turned to Mudzimu. "Is this your kingdom?" Mudzimu bowed his head. "The curse of the crown." Nurai stared at the wall, her fingers tracing the carved images with reverent awe. The ancient tale unfolded like a forgotten song. The kingdom, once called Mwanzani, had been a sanctuary where beasts and humans lived together. A wise baboon king named Barako had ruled alongside his human wife, Queen Tyri, a seer with power over dreams. But jealousy, greed, and fear crept into the hearts of men. One fateful day, the queen's own brother led a revolt, believing no animal should wear a crown. The uprising ended in blood. King Barako was cursed, his descendants forever trapped in beastly form, unable to speak or be understood by men. Only the pure bond of a fearless heart and a spirit untainted by greed could break the curse. Nyurai looked at Mudsumu. He sat with his shoulders slumped and eyes clouded with memory. "You are the last," she whispered. "A prince, maybe, or the king himself." The baboon lowered his head. A single tear rolled down his cheek. Suddenly, a strange wind blew through the cavern. The air grew cold. Mudsumu stood and beat his chest softly, warning her. Voices echoed from the cave walls, not human voices, but whispers of ancient souls. A woman's voice rose above the rest. "He who is betrayed shall remain in shadow. She who believes shall bring the dawn." The cavern began to shake. Mudsumu grabbed her wrist and pulled her out as the stone door sealed behind them. Nyurai looked back. The kingdom had revealed its truth. Now the forest would test her worth. When Nyurai returned to Mwenga, the villagers noticed something had changed in her. She walked taller, spoke with calm certainty, and her eyes seemed to carry starlight. But more than that, they noticed Mudsumu. The baboon followed her openly now, never threatening, always watchful. Children were frightened. Elders muttered dark warnings. The chief, a man named Mukuru, called for a gathering. "Woman," he said before the crowd, "why do you walk with that creature? Why do you bring the wild into our village?" Nyurai stepped forward. "Because he is not a beast. He is a soul bound by injustice." The people gasped. "You speak madness." But one elder, an ancient woman named Gogo Nasi, stood and hobbled forward. She had seen many moons and remembered stories others had forgotten. "In the time before the forgetting," she said, "the beast spoke, and the trees listened. What she says may be true." The chief scoffed. "And what shall we do? Bow to monkeys?" Gogo Nasi stared at him. "Or learn to listen, before the forest reclaims us." Mudsumu stepped beside Nyurai. His posture regal, his gaze unflinching. And for the first time, the villagers were silent. That night, the chief gathered his sons in secret. He had ruled Mwenga for 20 years and had no intention of being humbled by a baboon. "She has bewitched the people," he hissed. "We must end this before it begins." They crept to Nyurai's hut with knives and fire. But Mudsumu was waiting. He roared, louder than any had heard. The sound shook the ground. The chief's sons dropped their torches and fled, but not before one blade nicked Mudsumu's side. Nyurai rushed to him. His blood was dark, almost black. But he did not growl or flinch. Instead, he placed a shaking hand on her chest, over her heart. "I will not let you fall," she whispered. She dressed his wound and sang him a lullaby her mother once sang to her. And in that quiet, under the moonlight, something changed. A shimmer, like sunlight through water, passed over Mudsumu's face. For a heartbeat, his form wavered, and Nyurai saw the shape of a man beneath the fur. The next morning, Nyurai returned to the sacred forest with Mudsumu. The stone door to the hidden kingdom was sealed tight, but she pressed her hand against it and spoke. "If love without fear can break the chain, then let me try." The door opened. Inside, the air was filled with singing, not of birds, but voices. Echoes of the old ones. Nyurai stood before the stone with the eye of the hidden realm. Mudsumu knelt beside her. Together, they placed their hands on the stone. A light burst forth. Mudsumu's body rose into the air. His fur shimmered, then peeled away like mist. Bones cracked and reformed. And when he landed, a man stood in his place. Tall, with skin the color of rich earth, hair braided with silver thread, and eyes that held the depth of the forest. "I am Prince Barako," he said, his voice like thunder wrapped in velvet. Nyurai fell to her knees. "You've returned." Barako knelt and took her hands. "Because you believed." When Nyurai and Barako returned to Mwenga, the villagers fell to silence. The baboon was gone. In his place stood a man of ancient power, the lost prince of a forgotten kingdom. At his side, the woman who freed him, not with weapons or spells, but with faith, kindness, and courage. The chief tried to protest, but his voice faltered before the prince's gaze. Barako raised his hand. "I come not for your throne, but for your hearts. Let the forest and village no longer be strangers. Let man and beast learn from one another again." He reached for Nurai's hand. "Will you rule beside me, not as queen of riches, but of harmony?" Nurai smiled. "I will walk wherever your spirit walks." And so, the village of Mwenga changed. Not overnight, but root by root, heart by heart. Years passed. The forest bloomed in ways never seen before. Crops grew richer. Children played under trees without fear. Some even claimed they saw baboons watching from the branches, not with menace, but with curiosity. Barako and Nurai became symbols of unity. A school was built beneath the ancient baobab. Elders told stories of the old kingdom, now remembered as Mwanzani, and children grew up learning both the tongue of men and the signs of the beasts. But the greatest change was this. The forest whispered again. And everyone listened. The stone will speak again. On the 20th year of their union, Barako and Nurai disappeared. Some say they returned to the hidden kingdom to rule beneath the earth. Others say they turned into stars. But Gogo Nasi, before her death, told the children of Mwenga. If ever darkness returns, if ever greed rises, place your hand upon the eye, and the stone will speak again. And so, the tale of the woman and the baboon lives on, told under moonlight, written in bark, and whispered in wind.